Yeah, mandatory classes on climate change in schools. Italy will be the first country in the world. Why do you think the country needed that advantage?
I think all countries need that. Sustainable development is the greatest challenge that our generation is facing. The youth around the world have been demonstrating for months, demanding a cultural revolution, demanding that governments listen to science. So we thought that this kind of transformation happens in schools, starts in schools. So we had an opportunity of renewing our subject of civics education in our schools, and we simply thought that civics education in the 21st century is education about sustainability, about sustainable development, about the UN framework for sustainable development, which puts together economic, social, and environmental challenges together. So this is a good example. We're designing a good example which could be introduced all over the world, because all countries have ratified the 2015 the 2030 agenda of the United Nations. So there is a common platform that can be used by all countries around the world to come together in this. And I'm really impressed by the positive feedback I got from many different countries around the world that are now considering doing something similar in their respective nations.
You are a great supporter of the Fridays for Future movement, although they seem to be quite unhappy about the government's approach towards climate change. They think it's not enough to fight fossil fuels. What is your response?
I really support student mobilizations. I believe the Fridays for Future, the strikes for climate are important moments of aggregation and also wake-up call to everyone. And it's fair. And I understand the fact that students are not satisfied with what governments are doing around the world, because they're right. As we know, scientific research is telling us that no country around the world is doing enough, especially the more advanced economies. They're not doing enough to respect the Paris Agreement. They're not doing enough to curb climate change. So I believe that embracing their demand for change and introducing new subjects in schools that can equip younger generations with new tools to understand the problem and also to identify the solutions is a great way forward to make sure that their call for change is listened to and embraced by anyone who has a responsibility in government.
Last question. You've been encouraging students to go out and protest during the Fridays for Future movement, despite criticism. What do you think about that? I mean, criticism is a big deal.
Criticism is part of political involvement. I get criticized for a lot of things and I get praised for a lot of other things. I believe that climate change is the greatest challenge that humanity's ever faced, certainly the greatest challenge of our generation. So it is absolutely necessary that we mobilize. It's absolutely to be encouraged that younger generations, which will be here when climate change really happens at a rate and with impacts that we cannot envision today. They will still be here. I totally believe that their mobilization is an indication of a strong predisposition towards change, and I think it's the responsibility of the leaders in government to embrace that and to support that, because that's what we need.